Hello, hello everyone. My name is Oinlu Israel Toby, and I will say welcome to C Sharp Made Easy for Beginners. And I would like to let you know that this is a program designed by Destech. So Destech is a technology company, and also what we do is we make sure that we introduce people to various kinds of technology, and with that we're able to make sure that you are able to learn one or two things in programming languages. So I would say it's a big honor to be here and to start this series of C Sharp Made Easy for Beginners. And I won't take it for granted. I want to say Happy New Year 2024 is a year whereby from January 2nd, which is today, by 4:30 p.m. to January 12th, 4:30 p.m. I'll be running on several series on C Sharp Made Easy for Beginners. So why C Sharp? I just want to give a little knowledge of why are we using C Sharp? Why is C Sharp this program is based on? Now, many programming languages exist in the whole world, but I will say making use of C Sharp is an advantage not only for everyone, but also an advantage whereby we can easily have a little idea of developments which is different from the world of just web design, that's web applications. There are different languages that I used to develop several web applications. But I'm saying let us start with C Sharp. Making use of C Sharp is a very important and useful experience in which I have over 5 years experience in developing programming applications using C Sharp. I'll just say that C Sharp is a language that is very, very easy to learn. If you devote your time to it, I assure you that you will learn it and it will be so very easy to use and utilize. Now, I'll give you some little series of C Sharp. What can I do with C Sharp? Oh, I'm 5 years old, I'm 6 years old, I'm 7 years old, I'm 8 years old, I'm 9, I'm 10, I'm 11, I'm 12, I'm 50 years old. What can I do with C Sharp? Some people say, is it because it's sharp? That's why people are saying, so that I'll be very sharp. That's why I'm making use of C Sharp. No, it's not like that. So I'll say C Sharp is used to develop, is it web design? Is it web application? Is it artificial intelligence? Is it machine learning? We have, it's something that I've done using C Sharp, and I use a lot of frameworks. So I'm saying, okay, since it's free, let's start with learning C Sharp, because from C Sharp you can build several mobile applications that making use of Xamarin. With C Sharp you can build several web applications making use of different .NET framework. So .NET framework like Windows Form, like Web Form, like .NET Core, like .NET MVC. So those are the programming languages that we use C Sharp for. So I won't take it for granted, and I'm here to let you know that I'm going to make use of an IDE. They call it Integrated Development Environment. So I'll break it down to a 5-year-old level, which is what am I going to use to develop C Sharp? What are we going to use to develop C Sharp? I would say developing C Sharp is very easy to use, and for me to use what they call Visual Studio Code, it shows that It's something that is very easy to learn, and making use of Visual Studio Code shows that it's cross-platform. When something is cross-platform, that means you can use it, I can use it. That's making use of a cross-platform application. So to not take our time so much and so far, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you how you start your C# programming language. So we say that the best way to learn is for you to ask me any kind of questions. That's after the broadcast is not going to last more than 30 minutes, so that you can say, okay, oh, how do I do it? How do I set up my environment? What do I do? What do I have to do first? So the first thing you have to do is to download Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show it to you. That's Visual Studio Code. So what will I do? I will open my browser. So this is my browser. So I'm going to pick my browser. So this is my browser. So I'm going to share my browser so that we can see the browser. Okay, this is the browser we're making use of. So Windows Capture. So then my browser. So with this, okay, so we have the browser. So I'm going to fit it. Fit the screen. So with this, I'll pick my image, but I still want to be shown in this image. So there's the browser. So with this browser, I'll say, okay, I have to move to my browser so that I'll be able to show it to you that, okay, this is what we are doing. Now, you have to go to, you can just Google, since you're in Google, just say, I want to download Visual Studio Code for free. So Visual Studio Code for free. So this is it. Download Visual Studio Code. Okay. So with this, you can say, okay, I might reject this. So I say, okay, this is Windows. So with this, that's Windows 10, Windows 11. That's user installer, system installer. So I say, okay, I want to download the one for Windows. But since the one for Windows, I can just download it. So once it's been downloaded, it shows that, okay, you have to download it because I'm making use of Windows. I use a Windows system. So once you click on it, you download your Visual Studio Code. So this is your Visual Studio Code. I've downloaded my Visual Studio Code, and this is what's showing on the screen. Sorry, this is what's shown on the screen. My VS Code. So I'm going to move to my VS Code. So this is what is shown on the screen. So once you download it, it's being shown on the screen. And once it's been shown on the screen, then you can do what you want to do with it. So now, since we are working with the VS Code, I'm going to make sure my picture shows again, so we can move forward from then. So I'm going to say welcome to today's learning platform on C#. So my name once again is Oyinloye Israel Toby. Oyinloye Israel Toby. So I would say that it's very easy for you to want to learn C#, and no matter the age range from 5 years to 100 years, I will make sure I take it step by step, line by lines, so no one will be left out on how to use C# to develop at least one application every week that you can use for a day-to-day life, day-to-day section, and it's very important that you buy into it because it's very, very, very easy to learn. So now, after this, next is I'm going to explain how this is being done. How do you set it up? So once you've downloaded your VS Code, you have to come to a place called extension. So extensions. So in that extensions, you have to download some useful materials. And what are the materials? Now, I want to say something in which I stand to be corrected. I will say it's not compulsory. It's not compulsory that you make use of Visual Studio Code to develop your C# application. You can use Visual Studio, that's Microsoft Visual Studio, and other different kinds of IDE. I'm making use of Visual Studio Code because, number one, I just see it as a platform that is cross-platform. That means I can make use of C#, I can make use of JavaScript, I can make use of React, I can make use of Angular because it's cross-platform. So that's part of the usefulness of making use of the Visual Studio Code. So I'll say that the Visual Studio Code is also a platform that I like the environment. I'm used to the environment. So you too can feel comfortable making use of Microsoft Visual Studio. I use it. I have it on my system. So thank you so much. So now I'm going to talk about the extensions that you have to download. Now, the first one that is very important is the C# Dev Kit. C# Dev Kit. So how do you get to an extension? So this is your app application. I just give it the application name called app. So what will I do? I will just come here to my extension and I will search for C# Dev Kit. So this is it. I've installed it. If it's not installed, you see install button. Now example of it is this. Now it is not installed, so you see install. So because it's been installed, so you can see it on install or you want to install it. So if you click on it, click on install it or install another version, or you want to disable it. And if you want to read more about it, you can look at the feature contributions, look at the settings, how it is done. So you can just scroll down and read about it if you want to read about it. The details, read about the details too. So read all those details. So all those things are so important when you are developing any programming language, because when you have the extension, you have to read about the extensions, know more about the extension. So C# Dev Kit. Then after that, the next extension you have to download is what they call the .NET install tools. Why? Because you need this tool to run your application. You need it to debug. You need it to do a lot of things. Also, I think this tool is enough for now, and then we can continue on what you are doing. So now, the first thing that will be created once you run your application is your program.cs. Program.cs is like, okay, this is your main class, and because of the newer version of .NET, of the C# environment, so before you'll be seeing console.log, line, mains, args. So that's the argument environment. But with this, you don't need to what we call it, see all those things. Those things have been done. That's inside the application, so you don't have to do that again. So all you have to do is what starts with your code. So now in the next minute, I'm going to explain what are the key things that you need to know with your C# environment. Now with this program.cs note is automatically done. Now the next thing is your app.xln. So this XLN is something you can read about, but it's important when you are knowing, okay, what version am I making use now? See, Visual Studio version 17. So definitely I have the what Visual Studio version 17.5 plus this. The minimum version is this. So there's one thing about C#. It has its minimum and it has its maximum version. So with that, you can make it, okay, this is the version I'm using, and you can easily do this from your terminal. Like now, this is the terminal. The terminal is being loaded. So I can say, okay, .net dash version. So the .net version. So you can see it's 7.0.203. While the Visual Studio version is what 17.5.002.0. So there is a difference between .net and version and what Visual Studio version. So please take note of that. So also the next thing is we are going to move on to, we have the console.writeline hello world. This is automatically done. So there's some things I'm going to do. I'm going to run it. So how do you run it? How do you run your application? Just go to this place. That's your top. This is your top. This is your right. This is your left. Now go to your top. This is your right. Your top. This is your right. So you can click on this arrow. You can see debug project associated with this file. So when you want to debug, you make use of your breakpoint. So like now, I can just scroll down and say debug project. So this is the terminal. Terminal shows how the code is being run. How the code is run. So you can see build. So the terminal is running. So you can see, okay, this is what the terminal is being run. So thank you so much. So you can see now there's what we call the breakpoint. When it gets to a point, you know, that's just like elasticity. So it expands and gets to a point. Say, okay, I think this is where I have to stay so that I can check what is actually happening before this code breaks. That's debugging. So I'll explain debugging. Debugging is like having a pet, and the pet is very active every day, and it got to a point whereby the pet is just weak in a particular day. Say, oh, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Nani, what's wrong with you? And Nani is just calm, not active, not friendly. So you have to just check, oh, what is wrong with you, Nani? Oh, this is not how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be active today, Nani. So what's wrong with you, Nani? So the next thing is to call the vet doctor. Doctor is saying, okay, all you have to do is, can you observe this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And the next thing, Nani is up and running after 5 minutes. So the point that you saw Nani was down, and the point that Nani became active after that 5 minutes, that's what they call the breaking point. Why? Because you have to check what is really wrong with Nani with the vet doctor on a call for 5 minutes. So I'm explaining, this is what they call the breaking point. So I want to check what is happening at this point. That's why they call it break point. Example is in school. When I was going out today and I was able to get to school, and then I saw, okay, it's raining. When it's during the break time, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And it's raining. So I know that at that point, they have to think of, oh, it's raining outside. Children must not go out during the break time. So at that point, and it's the break time, that means if you look at it, they must not go out. So they have to check, is it still raining? Yes, it's still raining. So since it's still raining, that's the final conclusion, that they must not go out and they must be indoor during their break time. So that means they have to check before they can take a decision. So that was what we call the break point. So I've given two little examples on what they call breakpoint. Breakpoint is to check what is actually happening at this line of this code. I need to check what's happening here. That will call the breakpoint. So looking at it, local. So I was talking about the older version of .NET. You make use of the args, ARGS, and the string. They call it the main method. So that's the main function. So with this newer version, you will not see these args, you will not see string, even you won't see main. But in the older version, you will see all those things being done there. So now this is what I was talking about. Now this is what I'm talking about. So yes, line 2. So this is what it means, line 2. So with that breakpoint, I'm able to check what is actually happening here. So this is the name of the application, app. So with that, app.dll. So DLL is like a library. Okay, in this library, I want to check this program in which the main method, that's the main function, I'm using what a string. That means whatever I write, like this console.writeLine, all those things is a string. When you see a bracket like this, when you get to stage, you know about it. That's array. So you get to stage, you are going to work on array, and args means arguments. That's line 2 of this program. So that's line 2. You see line 1, line 2. So this has been modified to just take console.writeLine to just do whatever you have to. Why? Because it has been done internally. Before it was externally, but now it's internally. So with the debug, I can say, oh, this is what an external code, but internally it has been what fixed. So with this, I'll say, okay, what's the next thing to do? I want to run the code. Now take note of this. This is the debug console. This is our terminal. So nothing has been shown on the terminal. The debug console, nothing has been shown. All what you're seeing here is just saying that, oh, I'm using what Microsoft.NET Core Debugger. Yes, the latest version of C#, the way you can run your C# is making use of the .NET environment. That's why you can see .NET Core. So there are different ones. See, there's .NET Core attached, there's Node, there's C#, there are different kinds of configurations. So with this, I'll say, okay, this is the .NET, this is the Microsoft.NET Core, this is the version that we checked. Now also with this, I'll be able to say that, okay, this is what we are running. This is the program file, right? This is the Microsoft.NET Core app. Now also this is a way we are debugging each and every one. Module is optimized, and the debugger option, just my code is what's enabled. So with this, I'm going to continue with it. And what will I do? I will just run the code again. So with this, it debugs the codes. See, building. Okay, I'll skip that step. Building. I will go back to my output and my terminal. So with this, I'll continue with it. Do you want to start another instance? Yes, it's already running. So I'll start another instance. I'm just explaining debugging role to you. So you can keep debugging, checking the code till you say, okay, yes, I'm okay with this. Then you now want to continue. So how do you continue? That's step into. So I might want to step into it, step over it. All this might look so confusing now, but when you get to the stage, we can continue, and we know that, oh, all this has been finally done, and the code is being working fine. So with this, you can continue with it. Now you can see hello world. So console.writeLine hello world is being printed out. Hello world, hello world. Now we're still debugging console. Let's look at the output. looking at the terminal, debug console, hello world. Why? Because we are what? Debugging. But take note of the breakpoint. We've already passed the breakpoint. Why? Making use of the words, those buttons that we clicked up over here. So the first thing I need to explain, in which you must take notes, is what we call console.writeLine. What's console? We are writing our code. There are different kinds of way you write your code. So, but when you write the code, that's making use of what the console environment. So with your console environment, say, okay, this is where I'm writing my code, like whatever I'm writing here. That's an environment, what we call the console. Now, console.writeLine is to print out anything you want in C#. So use the word console.writeLine. And take note of this. There are different kinds of way you can print out. So apart from console.writeLine, there's console.write. And I'm going to do that right now. So you see console.write. So console.write, I'll say this is a different method to print in C#. Method to print using C#. So that's what we call control.write. Console.write. So in different programming languages, there are different ways or method to print out. But C# has more than 1, 2, 3 methods to print out in your application. So we have the word the console.write. So what will I do? I'm going to put my breakpoint here. So just remember, when you hear breakpoint, that's to debug. That means I want to check what's actually run with this particular pet nanny for 5 minutes, and I can use more than 5 minutes. It depends on how I want to check it. So once I move out of there and I see it's fine, then I can now move to another one. So when I run this code, it's going to check this number 2 line, and it's going to check the number 4 line. So how is going to be done? By what? Just coming down to this, to your top. These are what? Top right, your top right, your top right. So I'll click this arrow. I'll click debug project with this file. So we've gone to debugging. All projects are up to date for restore. Now take note of this. So once hit the first breakpoint, I might say, okay, I've already checked this. Then I can say, okay, step over. Step over means like to leap over a wall. That means I'm leaping over this wall. That means I have to step over it. So if you take note of it, it's just move from line 2, skip line 3, and then move towards to the next breakpoint. So step over moves from the first breakpoint to the other breakpoint. That means you're taking different kind of steps. So that means you move from this one over to the next one. So if I create another breakpoint, you will see what's going to happen. I'll put some other codes there. Then it's going to leap from the first breakpoint to the other breakpoint. So this console.write is a different method to print using C#. So with this, I might say, okay, I want to step into it. So stepping into it prints out this particular code, and can you see it? This is a different method to print using C#. So there's console.writeLine and there's console.write. So today I've been able to give a little lecture on how you can make use of C#. This is the beginning. Today is the first day on how you can use C# to develop your application. So the first thing is download your Visual Studio Code. one is being downloaded. There are different kinds of platform. You can do the one for Windows if your system is Windows. You can do the one for Mac if your system is a Mac system. The one for Linux if your system is a Linux system. Mine is a Windows. I've downloaded it. Then the next thing is you have to install the two extensions, which are, the first one is what, .NET install tools and the C# dev kit. So those things are what, those two tools are what, very important. That's when you are making use of Visual Studio Code. But if you are making use of Visual Studio, that is another platform that you can use to write your C# code. So the platform has its own steps and procedures. But if you are confused with it, can you just go to our Instagram page, and please feel free to drop a message in the company, and we are going to get back to you with a response if you are confused making use of Visual Studio, Microsoft Visual Studio. But I'm making use of Visual Studio Code. Why? Because it's cross-platform and I can do whatever I want to do with it too. So today I will say thank you so much, and I said I'm going to write some other things and I'm going to put some breakpoints. So I'm going to use console.writeline if I call it a day today. So with this, I will say this is the third sentence. So I'll move on to another one. This is the fourth sentence. Then the next one, this is the fifth sentence. So I'm going to put a breakpoint. This is number 8, and I'm going to debug it again. So when you hear debug, that means you have a pet, you are trying to check, oh, why is the pet not active today? So the next thing is I'm going to use step over. Take note of step over. So it steps over it and it prints out a hello world, and we'll start the debug console. So I'm going to move it a little bit up. So the next one, the next step over, you check this, but I can just run it, continue with this. Then I can just say, okay, now this is the fourth sentence, this is the fifth sentence. So with this, I'll say this is the end of today, C# beginners. And please, if you have any challenges or any question, kindly go to the company Instagram page. We're making use of Instagram for this program, and we'll do some little updates or major uploads of our live streaming on our YouTube channel too. We might not do everything, as I said, but we might do a little of it on our YouTube channel. So this is majorly for Instagram, and then the link will be shared on our Facebook page. So please, if you have any question, please feel free to ask any question on our Instagram page, and we'll get back to you. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye bye. Yeah.